Support WrestleTalk!
Support each other. Because 2020's word of the year is, what's happening? Oh my god, I just want everything to stop. It's so much! With events as big as a worldwide pandemic and Twitter-wide speaking out movements setting unrealistic expectations for all other news stories, when Impact Wrestling fired their current world champion, a move almost unprecedented in wrestling history, it was just the third biggest headline of the day. But that's not to say it's insignificant, as Tessa Blanchard, Impact's first ever female world champion and arguably one of the best women wrestlers in the world, is now a free agent. She does, however, have baggage, being accused of racism and bullying only 7 years ago back in January 2020, making her a controversial hire to any other major promotion. If only there was a wrestling company that didn't really have any morals out there. So WWE are apparently interested. Dave Meltzer is reporting on Wrestling Observer Radio that WWE have begun to put feelers out to Blanchard in the hopes of signing her to a contract. Tessa had previously wrestled a few matches in NXT back in 2016 and competed in the first round of the Mae Young Classic, losing to eventual winner Kairi Sane. But WWE never made her a proper offer at the time because of reported attitude issues. So either WWE believes she's grown since then, or now she's a big enough star for it not to matter. Meltzer adds that he hasn't heard about any interest from All Elite Wrestling and speculates they might avoid Blanchard because their fan base cares more about wrestler controversies. But her father Tully already works for the promotion, and AEW wrestler Big Swole has tweeted in support of Tessa. Professionally, in my opinion, her wisest choice is AEW. In our company, she can have growth, plus her father, he's a pastor, is there so she can get all the spiritual guidance she needs. Tessa was released shortly before her contract was set to expire, reportedly because she blew off Impact's requests to send in promos. Meltzer has added on Wrestling Observer Radio that it's all about CoVid. It's like nobody's fault, it's not Impact's fault. Blanchard had reportedly told management she wasn't going to fly out for tapings during the pandemic, as she was worried she wouldn't be able to get back to Mexico, where she lives with her fiancé, Impact star Daga. But even while knowing that, Impact continued to advertise her for next month's Slammiversary. So without Blanchard, Impact will be looking for some other high-profile names for their biggest show of the year. Following a TV vignette earlier this month, which teased the debut or returns of the many WWE stars released in mid-April, dropping hints that Rusev, Eric Young, EC3, Kurt Hawkins and more could turn up at Slammiversary, Pro Wrestling Sheet is reporting the most likely are Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Impact is reportedly heavily pursuing the former New Japan and WWE tag team, and they've apparently been offered a deal that would allow them to work for New Japan at the same time, which Anderson has already teased with a video on social media suggesting he'll rejoin his former Bullet Club faction. Anderson himself has hinted towards a Slammiversary debut, tweeting the show's date in reply to WWE posting about The Undertaker's Last Ride documentary series. What's the Thunderacre doing in the Impact Zone? Confirmed. And Impact and New Japan aren't the only promotions Anderson and Gallows might sign with. Thanks for your support on Patreon, The Lunatic, John Moxley's Fringe, and Arnie K. The K stands for the coolest dude ever. The Pro Wrestling Sheet report adds that Gallows and Anderson might also start their own promotion, Talkin' Shopper Mania, as there's word going around that it will be much more than just their podcast filmed on video. It could possibly be the start of their own side promotion of sorts. If they do go down that route, they should look at their former contractor WWE for how not to run a company during a pandemic. After only taking people's temperatures and getting them to fill out a questionnaire as precautionary measures against the coronavirus pandemic, rather than actually testing for the virus itself, WWE's Performance Center saw an outbreak of infections over the last week, with one report listing 24 positive cases, and names like backstage interviewers Kayla Braxton and Renee Young, and producers Adam Pearce and Jamie Noble announcing they are among them on social media. But not, I repeat, not Tyson Kidd, who was only sent home with a fever. He never tested positive for coronavirus, like was mistakenly said in Saturday's SmackDown review podcast, which we've since removed. More on that later. It's notable that unlike the backstage staff and on-screen talent, no actual wrestlers have come forward, which an anonymous email published by Wrestling Inc. claims is because WWE have told in-ring performers not to say anything publicly as they want to handle the PR. But not all the PR in the world can help when the person at the top reportedly isn't taking this as seriously as they should. Speaking on Wrestling Observer Live, Brian Alvarez said, "I have heard from multiple sources that Vince does not think that this is all that bad. I hesitate to even say that. I'm not sitting here saying that he outright thinks it's a hoax or whatever. There's a lot of people in this country that still believe, at worst, it's a bad flu. The impression that I have been given from people within the company is that's Vince's mindset." It's a mindset kind of corroborated by both Fightful and the Wrestling Observer, who are both reporting WWE is planning to broadcast Raw and SmackDown live with fans at the end of July. Apparently WWE have contacted a company that finds local people for TV tapings, discussing putting on shows on Friday the 24th and Monday the 27th of July at the RP Funding Center in Lakeland, Florida, which holds 8,000 people, although that will likely be severely lower with social distancing expected to be in place. The Observer notes these TV tapings were going to be announced last week, as Vince wants to be the first person to run a live indoor sports event with fans during the pandemic, but this was delayed and could be pushed back into August, just like the Hall of Fame. The 2020 Hall of Fame ceremony never went ahead over WrestleMania weekend back in April, which was supposed to see Dave Bautista, JBL, the British Bulldog, Jushin Thunder Liger, the NWO, and the Bella Twins be inducted. WrestlingNews.co is reporting it's very possible that the Hall of Fame ceremony will now take place over SummerSlam weekend, which is more up in the air than Matt Riddle's flip-flops when he kicks them off in his entrance, as Boston isn't allowing large-scale events to take place until September. Really contrived Matt Riddle segue. Riddle made his main roster debut a few weeks ago, beating Intercontinental Champion AJ Styles in a non-title match on SmackDown. It felt fresh, it felt big time. Usually NXT call-ups are first put in a feud with Dolph Ziggler for a few months, instead of what's happening here, immediately entering a main event feud with a top star like Baron Corbin. No. Sportskeeda is reporting that Riddle feuding with Corbin has been the plan for months, all the way back to when Corbin eliminated Riddle at last November's Survivor Series and January's Royal Rumble. We asked for long-term booking, but at what cost? But while WWE and Riddle were aware of these plans, Corbin reportedly wasn't. And he was reportedly very unhappy when he found out, insisting Riddle should have to beat 5 enhancement talents before getting the chance to face him. For the record, Baron Corbin hasn't won a singles match since April 24th, and his previous singles win before that was on the 8th of November 2019. Prior to his SmackDown debut, Riddle was one of the accused parties in the Speaking Out movement. Riddle has denied these through a statement from his lawyer, and WWE were reportedly aware of the allegations when he signed 2 years ago in 2018 and have already investigated them. Following the Speaking Out movement, multiple WWE stars have reportedly been released. 205 Live's Jack Gallagher is the only name officially announced by WWE, without the usual "we wish them well in all their future endeavours" line. And it's reported that NXT UK's Travis Banks and El Ligero were let go last Friday. And it seems the Speaking Out movement isn't just costing wrestlers their current contracts, but future ones too. Sports reporter John Alba has tweeted, "I've heard from multiple sources about WWE pulling a contract offer from a top young talent involved in the recent string of sexual allegations that have come out about pro wrestlers. Obviously a situation the company and everyone has to take very seriously." Alba notes for transparency that because the name was given to him off the the record, he won't be naming the individual. And speaking of transparency, last Saturday it was reported on both the WrestleTalk News and on WrestleTalk.com that Tyson Kidd had been sent home from WWE with a fever, which means his wife Natalya was also sent home. This was just a precautionary measure, and it was noted that neither had tested positive for coronavirus. However, on Saturday's SmackDown Review podcast, it was mistakenly said that Kidd had been sent home after testing positive for COVID-19, which is not the case. Many of you will have seen Tyson Kidd post about this on Twitter, where he thankfully confirmed he's actually tested negative twice. And we sincerely apologize to anyone who felt like they were misinformed. This was us making a mistake, not us reporting something we'd exclusively heard. We have removed the SmackDown podcast episode from both YouTube and podcast platforms, and would again like to apologize to Tyson Kidd and Natalya. It's AEW Fighter Fest this Wednesday. You can compete against us all in our fantasy predictions league, Wrestle League, by joining our Patreon page today. Click the P on the right to go there. And is WWE done with Velveteen Dream? Click the video on the right to find out more. I've been Ollie Davis, and that was wrestling.